Good morning, everyone. So it's just coming up to 9:30 in the morning, and we're just going to give you a quick live update on the tracker. There's only 3 boats sailing, and fortunately, and good news, they're all in the right side now. They're all in the Atlantic. We've got Tapio just rounding Cape Horn last night, and we'll just have a look at the weather. He's actually had quite a bit of breeze going through. Once he got around, it's continuing. I thought it might have dropped off, but it's holding. So he's had some consistent 40, 45, probably gusting 50 all the way through, and the seas have followed him as well. He's still in a zone. If we look at this here, if we look at the seas here, still got quite a bit of sea. This is sort of six meters here. He's down around 5. It'll slowly drop off. Looks like he's heading through the Stretcho de la Mer here between the island and the bottom of well, you know, the mainland here, and that's going to be interesting because there's huge currents there. But for the time being, all is well. He's making great speed. He's doing 4 knots. He slowed up a bit. He was actually these positions are only half an hour old, and I think we've been on 1 hour, but Jane's going to change that back to 4 hourly now, and we'll see how he goes getting through. Fortunately, when the wind here, if I blow this up, when the wind is coming across the straits here, it keeps the sea reasonably flat, because this current can usually run at about 4 knots depending on the state of tide, and tides are pretty big right now, so that's going to always interesting. I've been through that once and it was quite interesting. But anyway, very happy to get around. I don't know whether he saw the Cape at all. We had a couple of messages from him, but his tracker's not working. He's sent a message via his not his tracker, his YB3 texting unit, satellite texting unit. He's not able to send on that for now. It's a bit intermittent, long story. That's we're not sure whether it's the system or whether it's a lack of visibility of the satellites or whatever. So he's using the satellite phone to send us SMSs, and we'll put those up on the tweets each night. So all is good for Tapio, and we'll just now look at the weather that he's likely to get in the next few days, because it's quite a big southerly coming in days in the future, 3 or 4 days. So just hang on, I'll get this out of the way so you can see. He's going to crikey, come on, okay, hit that again, running through. He's going to hold a reasonable breeze, but then bang, he's going to have a calm. So that'll give him a chance to have a break anyway, because he's been in those seas now for about 5-6 days. So he'll enjoy things just calming down a bit. Doesn't last long. Then it comes in, it's favourable. It's either west or northwest. It's a little bit light. Again, I'll get this up a bit so you can see that. Focus in there. Drag it across here. So he's going to have a light time going through the strait there, and then it's coming northwest. He'll be going this way, so it's still on the beam, reasonably fast, swinging. You know, it's still okay. He's going to have a reasonable. He should be through it by then. This is actually by late tomorrow, so it's a day gone by, and he'll be up there then. So I don't think this calm will affect him. He should be able to sail straight through that. And if we look over here, by then he's up in this region. There's the Falklands there. I'd say he's going to leave the Falklands to starboard on the way past, and the wind's filling in again, but very favourable. Swings around on the port quarter at that stage. This is 2 days away, so in 2 days he'll be up in this region. He'll be enjoying that. And the long term, if I go out a bit bigger, we click this through, hit that there, it's all looking relatively relaxed. No surprises for Tapio. Again, he's dragging the weather with him, that's for sure, in terms of strong winds, and he needs strong winds to counteract the drag on the barnacles. So I think we'll see him making probably 100-mile days again all the way through there for the next 3-4 days. Then it goes round to the south. This is quite a persistent southerly that's going to kick in, and that's kind of good. He'll be able to get spinnakers up, enjoy the ride, and that's holding right through. That's the 11th, goes right through to the 12th, and just keeps going. Starts to lighten off a bit, but he'll be having a great time. He'll be able to relax, and well, normally you'd say get over the trauma of the Southern Ocean, but we all know he loves it so much. He'll just be reflecting on everything. The interesting thing is that if we look at the leaderboard, this is quite, I just had a peek at this before we got up. On the leaderboard, we look at Tapio. His average VMG is 3.4 knots, and that's suggesting he's going to make the Les Sables d'Olonne about the 2nd of May. He's got about just under 7,000 miles to go, and it'd be so good if he got rid of the barnacles. He'd be here for the party, I reckon. The party's on April the 22nd, and so if he was sailing normally, he would easily get here by April 22nd, but I think he's thinking he's going to be in June. If he leaves the barnacles, I reckon he might not get there until July. It's going to really, everything compounds. When you start going slow, the proportional drag increases. So if you'd normally be sailing at, say, 4 knots, the drag might knock out 3 knots or 2.5 knots over half boat speed. If you're doing 5 knots, then it's probably dropping back. You're probably only losing a couple of knots. But when on those occasions when you're going slow, you go real slow, and the barnacles will be thriving. So anyway, I don't think we're going to see him over the side, but there you go. So Tapio's happy to get around. We'll be doing a big chat with him. We do that question and answer thing. So their team will come up with about 20 questions, and on his next satellite phone call in a week, we'll actually do that live here, so you can see what's going on, and it'll be extended one. It'll go for half an hour or more, and we'll be actually asking questions, so you can try that on when we get there. So keep an eye out for that. You'll see something come up on their Facebook site to put your questions in if you're interested. So what's happening to the race down here right now? If we look at Istvan, he's just on the borderline of the doldrums there. I'm assuming you can see this. Let's see. I'll get it over here. I'll just focus it on there. Okay, so you can see there's light areas here. There's light areas here, but there's this bridge going through, and he's lining up perfectly for it. So at the moment, he's not going fast. He's only doing 4 knots. Uku is doing 5.2, so Uku's pulling away, but he's still sailing. Istvan's still sailing. That's the good news. And if we look at what's going to happen here to the doldrums, you can see there's still this reasonable green there, so he's definitely going to be moving at 4 knots for the next period. The lighter area is starting to open up, but there's still breeze there. That's the big thing. So I think you're going to see, this is in the next, that's 24 hours. It's going to soften. He will slow up a little bit, but I reckon he'll still maintain 3s to 4.5 knots all the way through this. And then this is now 1 day ahead. Then he's still sailing. He's going to have about 2 days of very mild doldrums, and the good news is when you see this airflow, it means that there's a lot less chance of the thunderstorms and squally bits, because when the thunderstorms come through, you get a huge increase in breeze, but then all of a sudden there's only so much air to go around. So if the thunderstorm takes it, you get calms between the storms. Makes it very demanding. And I think whilst he's going to get some unsettled weather, I think he'll have a reasonably good time, a better time than you'd normally expect, and certainly a better time than Uku had, and that's going to make it kind of interesting. But there's no question now, just looking at this, Uku is going to pull away a bit. What I'd say about Uku's course here, if you look at the average direction of the trades, he's not holding too high. He is forward of the beam, but he's not going anywhere near like Mark Slats was, trying to hold to windward and just banging and crashing. I think that's sensible. Looks after your boat a bit. Uku's not as driven as Mark was to catch Jean-Luc. Uku's just got to stay away from Istvan. He likes him, they're good mates, but he doesn't want to get too close. So if we then scale back to the big picture of the trades, one more here, you'll see it's starting to soften off. This is a couple of days ahead now, and I can detect here, and if you get on your tracker, you'll see it's starting to get really soft here. So Uku's going to slow down. It's softening off, and if we look north of that, this is all very confused. There's no distinct Azores high yet, and this is very reminiscent of the zone that caught Jean-Luc. I mean, Uku won't be there at this stage. This is actually only 2 days ahead, but that hole is just sitting there, and that's exactly what Jean-Luc parked in. So it's trying to do stuff, but it's sitting and it's not forming up into the distinct high. There you go, another whole day or so just sitting there trying to do something. This is now that's on the 12th. Very confused. So the border of the trades is hovering up and down. Gets a bit full in the middle. So yeah, and then that's it. This is actually the center of the high, which they've got to get through, but it's a long way over. So this is the area. This is the next zone where there's challenges and opportunities. So we'll have to wait and see who wins out of that lot. And then there'll be another one up here in the Bay of Biscay. It's interesting to watch. Look forward to see what's happening. Still plenty of breeze in the North Atlantic, but not too bad. So that's about it. We're going to do the big live with Mark Slats at 11 o'clock local. So it's in about an hour and a half. And we're going to try and get inside Mark and find out about his background, his life, and some of the things that drive him. And they'll obviously be talking about the GGR, but it's not in depth about the race. It's in depth about Mark and his life, and then we'll talk about some other aspects of the GGR. So look forward to that. It's now it's Wednesday or Thursday. I've forgotten what day it is. Thursday, okay. So we go live again on Tracker here in English on the weekend, and we'll do a live in French tomorrow with Christophe. Thanks a lot. See you later on.